to episode 312 of School Librarians United. I'm your host, Amy Herman. This podcast is dedicated to the issues and challenges school librarians face every day. As a school librarian in my 18th year, I knew I wanted a podcast which addressed the nuts and bolts of running a successful library program. I don't claim to have the answers, but I hope that this is a platform to share resources and exchange ideas. Now is a perfect time to mention that all the ideas and opinions expressed in this podcast by myself, my interview guests, and listeners who reach out to the podcast are our own and do not reflect those of our school districts. When incorporating research, I always make sure to cite my sources. So whether you are a novice or a veteran school librarian, this podcast has something for you. I welcome you and all listeners to reach out with your feedback and episode suggestions. You can reach me either on Bluesky at SLU Podcast or on X, formerly known as Twitter. My handle is at LMS_United. On Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, you can find me at School Librarians United and the email address schoollibrariansunited@gmail.com. If you include your mailing address, I'll be sure to send you a podcast sticker. It is now my pleasure to introduce Learnix. Imagine effortlessly tracking student research, boosting information literacy, and encouraging your students to be ethical and organized researchers, all in one place. That's Learnix. Effortlessly follow student online research journeys, searches, website visits, and notes that are all automatically logged and organized. This means you can provide targeted feedback, address research pitfalls, and teach essential skills more effectively. Plus, Learnix helps you identify instances of AI use, ensuring academic integrity. Stop the guesswork and start truly knowing if students conducted their research. Detecting AI plagiarism goes beyond the submitted paper. It starts by having students demonstrate their work throughout the research process. And for School Librarians United listeners, try Learnix free for the rest of the year. Visit Learnix.com and schedule a demo for your free trial today. That's Learnix.com. And remember, School Librarians United get Learnix free for the rest of the year. Friends, I'm so excited. We are in for a treat. We've got Barbara Lawrence here, who teaches and is a school librarian in Santa Cruz Public Schools, and is going to share with listeners today a very exciting opportunity. And I'm hoping that everybody will tune in and see what they can do to make this possible. So, Barbara Lawrence, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much. What a pleasure to be here. I'm a giant fan.
Well, Barbara, you reached out to me because there's something very exciting happening on March 30th to benefit all the schools in the Santa Cruz County. And I'm hoping that you'll share this with us because I can't think of a more exciting way to get involved with building out the libraries in a county.
Yeah, so like all school libraries, we don't have enough budget to buy all the beautiful books we want. And so I saw this fabulous film about children's books last year at a school library convention. And I thought, number one, we have to bring this film to Santa Cruz because we want everybody to see it and know how important children's books are and how important librarians are because we bring those books to our students. And then I thought, well, this would be a great way that we could raise money for our school libraries. And third, I just wanted to do something in community where everybody comes together to celebrate it, rather than watching on our computers at home, like we're all there together to say, children's books are magical. And right now we're in a golden age of children's books. So this film focuses on three of my favorite children's book creators, Mac Barnett, Juji Morales, and Christian Robinson, and really looks at how they create these wonderful books that teach us empathy, that are diverse, that show us inclusion, that show us windows and mirrors.
Well, and the creator of this film is also renowned for her gift of creating films. So could you speak to a little bit to that as well?
Joanna Rudnick is an Emmy Award-winning documentarian. And when I reached out to her to see if we could show this, she said yes. She gave us the licensing. She's not charging us. And she's driving down. She lives up near San Francisco in Berkeley. She's driving down for a Q&A afterwards. There'll be a couple librarians on stage, and we'll be able to just ask her about her journey in finding out about books. She has a couple kids, and so she was just struck by what Storytime did for her family. The quiet time when everything stops. And through that, she met these three fabulous authors who she documents. But I also want to say she's unearthed some lovely archival footage about the beginning of children's books. Goodnight Moon, A Snowy Day. And so she's included a history of it just to show us what they do for our kids.
So I'm really excited. There are a couple things we can do here. Obviously, joining that group of people who get to watch this amazing viewing on March 30th. And those are the lucky people who get to join in this communal shared experience of viewing this and then being part of that larger audience. And friends, so we have tickets for anybody who lives within sort of a driving distance to Santa Cruz to be able to participate in that. And the tickets are on sale. We're going to put that link in the show notes, but there is also an opportunity for those of us who do not live in driving distance to not only contribute and share in this wonderful fundraising effort, but also be able to view this documentary on our own.
Right. So the tickets are 100% donation. So anybody anywhere in the world can buy a ticket, and that money, even if you can't come see the film with us on March 30th, that money will go right into the hands of school librarians. We're partnering with Bookshop Santa Cruz, and they are just making this all happen for us. So 100% of the proceeds. So yeah, please feel free to go buy a ticket, and that money will come to us. Tickets, you can buy one for $20. You can buy $100, $500. I think you get a cute bag from Bookshop Santa Cruz the more you pay, and a sticker. But it really is just a way for us to raise money for our Santa Cruz public school libraries.
I love it. And then, friends, we will include links because this movie is available. You can purchase the license to show it in your neighborhood, in your school library. And it's a beautiful, sweet story. And I'm very excited anytime you want to promote the importance of children's books, and especially the librarians who are going to make sure that those get into the hands of our students. I am so grateful. Barbara Lawrence, thank you so much for sharing with us today. I truly wish that you have every, good thing happen when it comes to that turnout and overall with this fundraising that you're doing for your schools.
Thank you so much, Amy. Can I add that anybody is welcome to contact me if they want to do this in their own district and do that. And then just a real shout out to Bookshop Santa Cruz, the owner, Casey Coonerty. She's like, yes, we want to do this. Thank you for bringing us. County Office of Education's partnering. The Humanities Institute at the University of California is partnering. So we've just been blessed by having all these people come together to help support us.
Well, and forgive me, but let's remember who brought them all together, and that's the amazing power of a school librarian. Because when school librarians realize that our community resources, we really are that glue. We are the ones who start to pull all of those things together and make something happen. You literally pulled this out of thin air. You created something that didn't exist before, and all of a sudden this event is happening because of you. So congratulations in advance, and I am so glad we were able to connect. Thank you so much, Barbara.
Thank you, Amy. This is a great opportunity.
And now for today's episode, Bluesky 101 and my conversation with Heather Turner. Friends, I'm so excited. Heather Turner, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
So, friends, we're in for a treat, and I'll tell you, I'm very excited to have Heather here because there was no one I could tell was more active and more engaged with the school librarian community on Bluesky than Heather Turner. And I know that there are a lot of people who are just dipping their toes into this social media platform, and I wanted to know more. Heather Turner seems to be on top of all that there is to sort of capitalize on this platform. And so she's here to help us out. I have enjoyed being on Bluesky. So Heather, let me ask, would you let us know just where you are in the country? Tell us about your current job and what does a day look like for you?
All right. Well, I'm certainly not an expert, but I definitely keep learning about Bluesky. And I'm currently in Central New York at O²CM School Library System as a school librarian and teacher trainer. So my role really is focusing on professional development for school librarians and educators in our region. And this is a recent kind of career shift for me. I've been doing it for about 3 years now. And so I have a mix of asynchronous, online, and in-person sessions. But of course, I love in-person sessions. Those are my favorite. Actually, something really funny is that one of my main collaborators with teacher training is actually the math instructor, which is, I never worked with a math teacher when I was in district. So it's been really, really cool to see and connect and then give that feedback to other librarians on how they can make those connections. We actually co-facilitated board games and education's PD because there's a lot of math that's in board games. And so the educators absolutely loved it. And so did I, because I mean, we got to get all these board games. It was super, super fun. But just to give a little background of like where I came to this role, I have been a school librarian for 17 years, in all age levels, K to 12, around Central New York. I just really like change and to like change it up, and so that's really where this role came from. And I really try to build connections with the school librarians in our region. One of my favorite projects is Battle of the Books. I run it for our whole Central New York region. And the students vote on the books, they narrow them down, and and then we pick the final selection based on selection criteria, of course, school librarian heart. And it's just really great. I don't have direct connection with as many students anymore, but through this program, I'm able to connect with the students, and it's been so much fun. And I really can't believe it. It's been 17 years.
I'm so excited you're here. I couldn't imagine talking to anybody else about this at this stage in the game when it comes to Bluesky. So let's talk about social media as a whole. What are your current feelings about, and do you still maintain a presence on any of these platforms? Let's start with X.
So you will find me on there. I'm techie lib girl pretty much everywhere. I tried to be very consistent across platforms, but I don't really post on it anymore. Ever since kind of December is when I made the transition to Bluesky, and that's kind of where I am, because the vibe of them is similar, not the same. I will say it's definitely not the same over at Bluesky, but like in terms of how you post and things like that, it is similar. And so for me, I wasn't feeling joy when I was on the blue little bird. And so I have transitioned to Bluesky.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I mean, really, and it happened almost immediately after the election in November, but there was a very different the temperature of X had really become far more prevalent in terms of just its toxicity, and it was much harder to find the good amongst all of the vitriol that was being spewed. And it seemed like you had to do a great more weeding through all of the hate to be able to find what used to be like fairly, I don't know, it felt almost like a ghost town when I was a digital ghost town. I'd go to X and I could not feel like there were other people around. It feels like everyone needed to step away after the election. And boy, it was palpable.
And I felt like for me, social media is something that I do professionally primarily. And so it wasn't a space where advertising things was really going to get me any traction. The things that I was trying to do the space wasn't there for me to be a helpful space for me to be in.
So what are your thoughts on Facebook? It's been around for a very long time.
It totally has. And I definitely joined in college. That's when it, started. Was when I was in college. But I'm not really super active on there. But I really love the librarian Facebook communities. As the VP of Communications, still for CNYSL, I'm past president there now. It's really a good place to advertise like things live that are going on. So I can't really give up on that space quite yet due to my role as the VP of Communications. But I am not somebody who is posting pictures of, my personal life and things like that. Again, social media, I am very cognizant, I think, because I'm a librarian, of the footprint, the digital ID that I am placing out in the universe.
Well, and I'll be honest, I didn't have a Facebook profile until I had a podcast. And I just didn't. And I didn't have a personal profile on Facebook until I had a podcast. So 8 years. I've been on Facebook for 8 years, which is not a long time when you consider how long Facebook's been out there. But I agree, the librarian communities are very, very fun, especially if you find yourself switching grade levels. There are different Facebook groups for the different grade levels. And there are also Facebook groups based on I know when technology changes, there were, I remember when everybody was teaching remotely, there was a great deal of response on the Facebook forums when it came to working remotely. And that was really important. And I think because Facebook's been around so much longer, the learning curve is so like it's a much easier and for perhaps more familiar space for people to engage.
I guess the limitation for me is that it's very much group-based rather than what I really like about a hashtag, which I missed from the Little Blue Bird, was the ability to not have to sign up for something, that like you could just join in.
A far more organic conversation. Let's talk about Instagram and Threads. What are your thoughts?
So yeah, I like Instagram for what it is. I feel like it's, again, very much that you post something, people might kind of, vibe with it or not. I don't feel like it kind of grows a community. So I do post on Instagram a little bit, not a ton, just because Bluesky really in December, that was really my shift. Threads, I got an account prior to Bluesky launching. So I started posting a little bit there because you can cross post really easily. So that would be what I tended to do if I posted on the next one, which TikTok, it would go to the others.
So I guess for me, and this is probably why I have absolutely no Instagram game, is it, at least for Instagram, you can't attach a link. And everyone's like, oh, just say link in bio, link in bio. I'm like, you know what? I've got a different link every week for every different episode. So link in bio, it really...
I completely agree. The link thing, as well as the reposting. Like, I feel like that grows like interest in information, is the ability to repost, and it's not something that you can do. And I understand because they're images of actual people sometimes. So I get why that's not a thing that they do, but the link thing is totally annoying. Like, having to have a link tree is frustrating.
Now, Linktree is great. I'm not going to lie. Linktree is, for me, rather than recreating a better, more robust website, Linktree in about 10 minutes gave me something that I am perfectly fine with, and I do not need to, create a new website. I feel like Linktree is doing what I needed to do. So let's go ahead and talk about TikTok.
Well, I do like TikTok, not gonna lie. I'm really trying real hard to get to 1,000 subscribers. I'm currently at 952. Do I check it daily? I do. My cat this is the one thing personal that I do. I have a kitten named Tigger who bounces, and she does feature prominently on my TikTok. I do have some like ed tech and library centered videos, and I think eventually it'll shift to that. But like right now, I'm having a ton of fun with my kitten.
Aw.
She's an orange and white kitten.
So, friends, I don't have a TikTok account at all. Nope, I don't know. I first of all, I hate video. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And so, no, and I appreciate that there are things I'm missing out on. I don't have time to not only create content each week, but then find some way to make this a video as well. No. I don't know. I'm sure I'm missing out on something really important, but if you're looking for me on TikTok, you will not find me.
I have to say for TikTok, for me, it's been maybe the news journalists a lot, and like especially Under the Desk News is one of the journalists that I follow. And really being able to have more of a direct connection with things that are going on that we're not hearing about. Of course, fact checking, because again, librarian heart, gotta, do my due diligence in that. But I have found it to be, at least the algorithm that I have cultivated is a lot happier of a place that I'm seeing in the world at times. So, but that's the algorithm that I have cultivated and created.
You mentioned YouTube, and I'll be candid. The podcast is on YouTube, but it's audio only. And it was really just a workaround because until AI became very sort of standard, I didn't have a way to create transcripts. And so transcripts, before AI really became more accessible to all of us, transcripts were $1 a minute. And I didn't have that kind of money. If I was going to have a weekly show running about an hour, it's can get a little pricey. But my workaround to not having a transcript was if you put everything on YouTube, the closed caption that was auto-generated was as close as I was going to get to providing transcripts for my episodes.
So do you use YouTube transcript now?
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, it's a website. It's called YouTube Transcript. You can put any YouTube video in it and it will generate a transcript for you.
That's amazing. And again,
it's one of my favorite
well,
websites.
I started this 8 years ago and that did not exist then. So
I'm sure
friends, we're just learning things in real time. I love it. All right. So Heather, you have clearly committed to Bluesky as a worthy platform at this time. Why should school librarians explore Bluesky and consider creating a profile and using it with fidelity?
So I've talked a tiny bit about it so far, but really it gives me good vibes, and really when it comes to social media, that is extremely important to me. And the engagement feels more authentic and real. And I really love that the algorithm is shaped by the users and not this weird hidden formula that you have no idea how it works. And if you pay into somebody, you're going to get better views or whatever, and you're going to have promoted posts. Does not exist. I mean, fingers crossed it never exists, but currently, because of the way the Bluesky works, you have to repost something for engagement to happen. So if something isn't reposted, it doesn't travel. It doesn't become part of the community. You can see it on the hashtag, but it's not really going to continue to thrive in the space. So you have to actively engage beyond just, say, liking a post for it to get traction, which I think makes the interactions more real, more authentic, because somebody looked at my thing and they're like, yeah, that was cool. I agree with that. Or I don't. I'm going to quote a repost and say, this is why I don't agree. So it just, people are connecting. So, and what really makes me excited and why Bluesky gets me excited is every week on Wednesdays, we have our TL Sky chats and the community continues to grow. And I just love that we have been able, Jennifer Lagarde and I have been able to create this chat that has resonated with so many people. And I love that TL chat 10 to 15 years ago. It was amazing. It was so fun to be on there on the Bluebird app, and we loved it. And so that is the vibes that I'm getting from Bluesky. Back then, I would walk away with so many resources that I could try in my library the next day. But it changed, like we said earlier in the podcast. It changed. It wasn't that way anymore. And people were leaving in droves. So it really just wasn't the space that we wanted it to be. Bluesky just brings that back. It gives me those, like I said, those cozy vibes, those cozy feelings. I mean, the images are just really fun. The GIFs are just so much fun, and I love looking at them. And we kind of alluded to this fact before, but Instagram's kind of like all about pictures. Like there isn't really a way for me to like build a community. I can build a community of the techie lib girl Heather Turner community, but I can't build the librarian community that I really want. TikTok, like you said, is all about videos. And I'm looking for engagement for me. It's all about me. That's not the kind of community that I want. I want a community that we can just grow with each other and learn from each other. And I don't have to go back to a certain video to get that community. So, and then another thing that I absolutely love about it is the emphasis on accessibility. I don't know another platform that will allow you to turn on a setting that says you can't post unless you add alt text. And I immediately turn that on because I'm like, I want those that are visually impaired to be able to access Bluesky. So this is the kind of environment that Bluesky is like. Those things are important to the community. And when I first started out, I started out just at EDU Sky. Alice Keeler had started that community, and I was just like dipping my toes in, trying to see the vibes back in December. And I thought, this is kind of cool. I like it, but I really missed my school librarian friends. I wanted us all to be together again, and I wanted TL Sky. So I started chatting with Elissa Melspina, and she kind of was early adopter of Bluesky as well. And we started messaging back and forth. I've never met her before in my life, so I just met her on Bluesky. And we're like, well, what about if we did like a TL Sky? And so it was just born over a DM conversation in Bluesky. And then Jennifer Lagarde reached out to me, and I, of course, had a fangirl moment because I'm like, oh my God, Jennifer Lagarde is messaging me. And then she said, would you like to do a chat? And I'm like, I've never done a chat before. Yes, please, just tell me what I need to do, and I'm there. And it has been a ride. It's just been so amazing to connect with kind of like your idols, the people you look up to in the school librarian community. So, yeah.
Well, and I'm going to say right now, it has been, because everything I do, I'm still posting on X. So whenever I come up with something that I'm putting out on social media, it's kind of like a little experiment. I posted on Bluesky, and I posted on X, and I posted on, I don't always post it on Facebook because, quite honestly, this is more about in the moment. And then I post it sometimes on Instagram, but consistently what I want to do is see how Bluesky and X compare. And there is no comparison, because Bluesky, there are people who are active on it all day long and nights. And I can put something out on X and it is going to languish out there. It is just going to just sit. And, there's something very like, you do take it rather personally. You're like, I don't know. I put something out on X and it just kind of nope. It's just like, nope, nothing happened. But you put stuff out on Bluesky and you instantly have some that sort of feedback, and you do get to see engagement, and that tells you you're at least in familiar and friendly space, and that's got to count for something. I look to you for best practices because while some of us are more comfortable in other arenas, for me, I'd like to learn how to get better at Bluesky, which is why I selfishly want to have this conversation with you and then share it out with everybody else. But I'm going to look to you for some best practices because you clearly have put in the work. So let's first of all start off with your landing page. Your Bluesky landing page, I see a great deal of intentionality. You've capitalized on this very limited digital real estate. And I'm hoping that you will give us a rationale, like what are your goals? So when I see everyone's landing page as something that's their forward facing. That's what people are going to see regardless of what you post. That is going to give them a very good sense of what and who you are and what is important to you.
So I definitely say that there are no original ideas. So I saw somebody else's landing page and kind of was inspired by what they did. Do I remember who that was? I do not. It was in my early days back in December, but I definitely do have some best practices that I have learned. And this is really for all social media, really. And that's there actually is a really limited character count in your description for Bluesky. So that was really a huge impetus on how I needed to really think smarter, not harder. So I had to be intentional on the space that I use. So I think that it's really important to have some kind of image, whether it's a Bitmoji or it's a image that really means a lot to you, or it's your headshot. I chose to go with my headshot. Also, you really want to make sure that your description is going to indicate your vibe, the type of people that you follow, because then a person looking at your description is going to say, okay, that person's cool. I want to follow them. So as a result, I wanted all of us library people to find each other. And so I created a Google form, very simple Google form. You fill it out, you get on the list. And the list is basically just a spreadsheet of school librarians and supporters of school librarians and the link to their bio. And then you can follow them. So I wanted it to be really easy and the entry point to be really easy. So in order for those people to follow you back, have an image, have some hashtags in it that are going to say, okay, this person's a library person. Because if I see a hashtag that says library or school librarian or books or something that I do, then I'm going to say, yep, you're cool. I'm going to follow you back. Because I want to grow my community too, of people who reflect the interests that I have, share similar passions. It could be graphic novels because I really like graphic novels. It depends on what your vibes are. So that's kind of where I am, is that you have to have some kind of presence on that profile. I did link the list and the Google form on my bio because I'm the one that created it. So just to make it easy for me to find whenever I need it.
So this is fantastic, and I'll be honest, I'm really excited. I'm number 54 on there. Yay! So first of all, I want to jump on what you just said. You mentioned something about being a librarian, be precise about your identity. I will be very candid, friends. If the word librarian doesn't appear in your bio, I am not following you until I see evidence that you spend time in a library. And I don't mean to be misleading. I don't mean to be unkind, but I'm very intentional on making sure that the community I follow, at our core, we share something that is fundamental, and that is we spend our days working in libraries. And I need to see that. And if I don't see librarian in your description, then I start looking for evidence. I'm like, maybe they're a librarian. They just didn't mention it. So no, but I love that you produced this repository of people who, and forgive me, wow, you're up to 331 people on this form.
I know, it's amazing.
It is an absolute, you've got this list. I mean, and it's voluntary. It's completely, you've collected this. It's voluntary.
Yep.
So friends, you just fill out the form and it populates on the list. And then Heather has shared the list. So then you can go through and build out your Bluesky profile.
Your community. You're really building your community.
You are creating your community because you can see all of these. And I'll be honest, there are so many of these people I recognize from Twitter.
And I have to admit that it is actually a physical thing that I move it over to the list. It's not automatic because I do check to make sure that they are related to the school librarian community. Because I want to make sure that the list is actually representative of the people that we are trying to follow.
Well, and we are curators, and ultimately, if you're going to curate something, you also are making it's that fact checked, right? You don't have some bots who are getting on there and manufacturing, something that absolutely not. That makes all the sense in the world. I love it. So let me ask you. Okay, we're moving on to specifically looking at your profile. What are some mistakes that you commonly see on school librarian social media profiles? In other words, what do you feel is the best approach to creating a profile on Bluesky?
Okay, so I think this is for everyone. I don't think it's specifically for librarians. That's how I took the question, and that is having a blank profile. Like I had a colleague in our office that was helping lead a chat, and I said, before the chat, you need to have a completed profile. Like I said, that's a requirement. Like because we really need to know who you are, like who you represent. It's really hard to find somebody it's really hard to follow somebody who you don't even know what they're all about, which is exactly what we said in the previous question. And having a hashtag for school librarians, like we said, that is pivotal to really it being really helpful, whether it's books or media literacy or something that has to do with libraries. I mean, if you have that on your profile and you follow me, I'd be following you back, friends.
Can I ask you, because, and friends, this is about learning in real time. And this is where I get to ask questions because somebody else in the audience is going to appreciate this question. And the rest of y'all can judge me because I don't, I think I know what I'm talking about, but I really don't. So when you put a hashtag in your profile, what does that do? Does that mean that your profile comes up when people search the hashtag?
Potentially. Really it's I can click on it and it'll bring up that feed for me. So it actually is kind of like a little bookmark for myself. That's how I utilize it.
Okay, got it. And it also would instantly tell people your priorities and your focus, the things that really drive your interest on the platform.
Absolutely.
All right.
I, of
That's
course, now
so.
really want to check and see if that's a thing.
No, again, it makes sense. If you're going to spend time here, learn about how you can optimize what you do.
Yes, it does,
Okay.
actually.
All
It
right.
does.
Because that's how it worked on Twitter.
Because when you search for a hashtag, yeah, so when you search for a hashtag, there's actually a tab that's people. And so it actually is searching the hashtags of the person. So I just searched for school librarian and it did bring up all the school librarians. So if you are looking for school librarians, another really great place to look.
It is so easy to linger, to just hang out in this under the posts, like to just watch the posts. But working your way across, you've got replies, you've got media, videos, feeds, starter packs, and lists. And this, I'll be honest, I haven't spent a great deal of time in any of those other areas. Can you just spell out how do you, when you are functioning in this space? Because my list of things I need to do to fix my front-facing, profile on Bluesky is my homework is just accumulating right now, friends. So when you look at this and you've got so much going on in such a condensed space, how often do you visit those other tabs?
I would say that I'm primarily existing in the hashtags that I follow. That is where I'm going. I would say when I initially started in Bluesky, starter packs were super important to me because that's where I could find people like me. Because starter packs are unique to Bluesky. It is essentially just a list of people under a certain topic that somebody has curated. So lots of little librarians out there, right? They're curating these little starter packs. And so Jennifer Lagarde might have a starter pack. I have a starter pack. Amy might have a starter pack. There are those lists that they've created, and I know I'm using the word list, but it is lists or something different. But starter packs mean that you can go to that starter pack, click the button at the top and it will add all of those people to your following. So you will follow all of them at the click of a button rather than having to click each individual person. So that's really nice.
And you can also see which ones you're already following, because that's exactly what I did. Like, I opened it up and I'm like, I'm opening one of your starter packs and I already follow, like for me, I'm following about 2/3 of them already. So it sort of rounds out my, it gives me other people. But again, you've curated this list and I trust you. And so I know that when I add these people to the group of people I want to follow, I can trust you. I can trust these people.
And so my first 2 starter packs, the librarian ones, are based on the list. And so I have taken all of those and put those into those starter packs. So we keep talking about the list, and the list is that spreadsheet that I've created. That's all the school librarians that have voluntarily filled out the Google form, prove that they are a real human being. And you will note that my username is a little different than most people on Bluesky. And that's what's really cool about Bluesky too, is that you can actually use your own domain. So that's why mine is techielibgirl.com rather than techielibgirl.social.bluesky or whatever it is. So if you're interested in doing that, that's a whole nother conversation. I'd be happy to share with you how to do that. There's a couple of videos on how to do that, but that's really nice because you can actually really brand yourself too on Bluesky. So the list, very easy to get access to.
So forgive me, you could teach people, first of all, explain again, why would you want a .com rather than the .bluesky social tagline?
Because that is also my website as well. And so if somebody wanted to go, it has my portfolio on there. And so it really just kind of is full circle. I'm at Techie Lib Girl everywhere online. So it consistently is part of my identity online. And so I was like, I'm paying for this domain, so why not get additional benefit out of it?
Got it. That makes so much sense. All right. So, and I'm going to just ask because I can feel stupid and you can all laugh at me, but please explain to me the difference between feeds and posts.
Yes. So a feed is actually created by a user. They actually use, it's called Skyfeed, the website, and you have to put in a hashtag, and it's a little complicated, but I actually do it for Alice Keeler's big spreadsheet. I create the feeds for that. It's a little complicated, but essentially it's just a hashtag, but there's a link directly to that hashtag. That's really what a feed is doing. And people can create multiple feeds of the same hashtag. So you can create your own. Like you can eliminate, say, a bot from it. And that's what I did when we found out there were a few bots that were circulating around. I was actually able to create the feed on Skyfeed and negate any of the bots. So that was something that was really nice to be able to do. Because you can't really stop somebody from using that hashtag other than eliminating them from a feed. So a little complicated, but
Well, no, but it's nice to know that that's out there and it exists for a reason.
What's nice about Bluesky is that's why it's so good, because it's not centrally located at some, company that's saying this is how you use Bluesky. No, there's users that are creating modifications and whatever it is that they want to make it the community that they want.
Got it. Well, and I do feel like I have found that the investment in time, because I think, let's be fair, we are all extraordinarily busy and wasting time. I've decided that time is more valuable to me than anything else. And I feel like if we're going to spend any amount of time on social media, you want to make sure that this is a space that you feel people are going to be receptive, and you're not attracting unwanted and negative attention from individuals. And I'll be honest, I also do not sense, and maybe I'm wrong, but I do not sense the advertising that I'm really getting assaulted with on other social media platforms. And I was reading in the New York Times this weekend talking about people who have had to disengage from social media because it has created, their spending habits have become very destructive, and they purchase everything they see on social media and those algorithms, which continually sort of bombard them, that all of a sudden it has become, they've needed to detach because it financially has cost them a great deal of money while they are on those social media platforms.
I agree. I am not seeing that at all. I think that it's the decentralized nature of Bluesky. I think that contributes wholeheartedly to it. I mean, I'm sure that there are going to be companies that are eventually going to come into it, but I doubt that they're going to come to the TL Sky chat. It's just not going to be a hashtag that's going to do a lot for them. But yeah, you're not seeing the advertisements on the side. It is a clean interface. There's not a lot going on. It's not distracting. It's really kind of calming.
I do like that you provided, and friends, we're going to be putting this all in the show notes, but I love that you've included some hashtags. And this is really just a crutch for any of us who are looking for ways to quickly find the people who will engage with the content that we're putting out there. So friends, we'll make sure to put that in the show notes. Tell us a little bit more about the TL Sky chat that you're doing with Jennifer Lagarde, because I think that the fun thing is that it really is a conversation with school librarians that is happening in real time.
It really is. I mean, it is, Jennifer and I really just come up with the questions, unless there's a guest moderated that week, which we're always looking for guest moderators. So anyone out there that wants to do it, just let us know. We really wanted to create a space for librarians to find the resources and have conversations about stuff that school librarians do. So the next one that we're going to have, which I'm really excited about, is going to be all about creating library joy. And so passive programming, engaging with instruction, and creating a community of joy and building relationships. I mean, who doesn't want that, right? And I know that there are so many people that have such great ideas about it, and it's just answering a question. And the questions are always posted a couple of days ahead of time on our website, tlskychat.com. And it's very easy, so you can even prep the answers before you come in and do the chat. I schedule all of my stuff so that I can engage during the chat. And I really just like the community. It might be only 5 people that come one week, or it might be 15 the next. And we're continuing to grow every week. And it doesn't matter how many people are there. I feel like everybody gets something out of it. I love it. The gifts are flying, and it's really just a lot of fun, the community. And at the end of the night, I feel like there's at least 3 or 4 people that say, I just so look forward to Wednesdays. Wednesdays, in the middle of the week, it gets me over that hump, and it just is an enjoyment for everybody.
We'll put a link in the show notes and make sure that we have that. I know that, are you envisioning this to be a school year kind of activity, taking a break in the summer, or it's just still up in the air right now?
No, I think we're doing it. It's much, of course, we'd love some guest moderators, just because I think that it's good to see other perspectives for what's important to school librarianship. I know that I try to tap people that I see that are engaging in Bluesky, just to say, do you have an idea? And in fact, I did it, I think on protocols a couple of weeks ago, and I actually had 2 friends that are in my office, a humanities teacher trainer and a math teacher trainer, and we did it together. So, like, if you have, like, some co-teachers that you're, and librarians that you want to do it together with, that would be super awesome. It doesn't have to be, we have a lot of supporters of school librarians out there that, I think would love to be a part of the conversation.
So I do have to ask, because I get to ask these questions, just because not only do I have questions, but I imagine somebody out there, when you say schedule a response, I'm just going to ask because I know what you're talking about, but I need you to explain it to me like I'm 5.
Absolutely. So Bluesky default does not allow scheduling of posts. So in order to do it, you have 2 choices. You can pay for Deck Blue, which is one of my favorite websites. There is a free version that just allows you to post regularly, but to schedule, because it costs a lot of money and server space to accomplish that, the guy who created Deck Blue has a Patreon. And it's like $3 to $5, depending on how many you want to schedule at the same time. I pay $5, I get 50 posts at the same time. It's 50 or 150, something like that. But like once it posts, you have that 50 again. So it's not like you ever, I never really run out. The other option is you can schedule for free up to 10 posts using Buffer. It's a pretty well-known social media scheduler out there. And you can do up to 10 for free. So for our chat, that would totally work because we have 8 questions. So you could totally do that for free.
Again, I really appreciate this because, I like participating, but I'll be honest, it's a little rushed for me when I'm trying to do things in real time. If you're trying to respond and look for the photos that I know I have somewhere to respond to the questions that you create. So I appreciate that it helps me feel like I'm not so like I've got options. How about that?
Oh, I schedule literally everything. Other than the responses that I do during the chat to particular people that respond, everything else is scheduled because I wouldn't be able to do that engagement. It wouldn't be possible.
So I have to ask, and this is something I'm oblivious to. And friends, I function with a great deal of obliviousness in me. I get to like say these things out loud. There are Chrome extensions for Bluesky?
There are. The ones that I particularly used was one, I wanted to get my followers that were in the little Bluebird app over to Bluesky if they already had accounts. And so that's what Sky Follower Bridge is. That's what it does. It just brings your followers and adds them to your Bluesky and follows them. It's very easy. And they give you the steps to do it. The other one is, and I'm not sure if I'm happy that I did this, I will be perfectly honest. It's called Porto, and it allows you to port your little Bluebird app posts to Bluesky. Some of the stuff is not as relevant anymore. So I don't know if I would suggest doing it or not. You have to make the decision. It's all or nothing in that type of situation. You can't like pick which posts you bring over. So I did it. And so I'm starting to get likes from posts from like 5 years ago. I'm like, cool.
Wait, are you kidding me? Like, but even though Bluesky has only been around Bluesky's only been around for a short period of time, but Portal will bring your entire Twitter feed into every once in a while, I get somebody randomly responding to something I posted on Twitter like 6 or 7 years ago. And I'm like, how far deep are you going? My God.
I get the same thing on YouTube, like random YouTube comments from a video that I did 6 years ago. I'm like, oh, I think it's changed now.
So with Porto, like if I scroll, I'll get your content from Twitter
Mm-hmm.
from years ago. But forgive me, now it looks like you've been on Bluesky years before it even existed.
There's a lot of people that have used Porto though, so I think if you know, I guess. I mean, the other one isn't
Wow. All right.
the other one is not a Chrome extension, of course, but I mentioned is Deck Blue. That's the one that I really
Okay.
would suggest. It's a website, so you're not going to have it on the app. But I mean, if you're doing a chat, I definitely would suggest doing it on a computer rather than on your phone. I just find it's a lot easier to do it that way. Deck Blue, if any of you that used to use TweetDeck, it's very similar to TweetDeck. It allows you to see multiple feeds as columns on a screen, and it just makes it a lot easier, I think, to see all the feeds that you want to see. And so you can add columns as the hashtag, and it'll bring it up, and you can actually set it up so that it will auto refresh every 30 seconds or 15 seconds. You can decide what you want. So there's like a little setting button on every single column. And so it gives you setting options.
Wow. All right. Fantastic. I'd love to know, because you've obviously are very intentional in making a home for yourself in Bluesky. So would you explain to us exactly how do you manage your Bluesky presence and build up that PLN that's so important to you on Bluesky?
So I think number one is posting. Like that's really the key, is that you have to engage, because when people see you, then they start to follow you. If they're like, oh, I really like that thing that they posted, then they follow you. Following other people. And of course, like I said before, having a profile so they can say, okay, you're cool. Let's follow you. When I first started out, I used the starter packs. There were tons of them out there. Alice Keeler had a ton on her spreadsheet, which is tinyurl.com/edusky. That's hers. And so I really was inspired by her to build the TL Sky community. And so really that's it. Follow the hashtags. Participate in chats. It doesn't have to be the TL Sky chat. There are a lot of chats that are going on every day of the week. So find one that resonates with you and what you're doing. Posting, reposting, liking things. But like I was talking to Amy before, it's really important that if something resonates with you, to repost it. Because the repost is really how the algorithm, if we want to call it that, because that's not really what it is, that's how it works. That is the engagement. That's what spurs it on into the community. A like is really nice. We love likes. But a like is like, cool, I'm bookmarking you. A repost is, this should be part of the community because I agree with it.
I agree that it is far more complimentary that if you like something, that you boost it. And so, yeah, if you simply give it a little heart, you're like, okay, but yes, it is far more of a compliment when you push it out. And I feel that's true of the podcast content that I put out there. Like when somebody decides to share it out, it is more likely that other people are going to get to know and learn about the content that gets put on the podcast. So, looking down the road, I'd love to see Bluesky succeed. What are you hoping happens with this platform? And do you sense there are warning flags that we should be on the lookout for, just because, we've all seen a space like Twitter become something that's unrecognizable?
Absolutely. I think that the things that I really hope for is that GIFs will be better, because they're my nemesis, because I like to schedule things, as we found out. So I want to create really cool GIFs as part of my Canva posts, because Jennifer and I create all the posts in Canva. And we want to add GIFs to them because they're just fun. And if you schedule a post, they don't GIFify. And so that's very sad. We're very sad about that. Another thing that I really would like is that scheduling becomes part of the platform. So I don't need to go someplace else to schedule. I am perfectly happy supporting the Patreon for Deck Blue because I think it's a fantastic website, but I would like it to also be part of Bluesky because it currently is not. Things that I'm concerned about at this point, I think bots are always going to be the concern of a lot of social media, but I think that really they have taken this issue head on with the ability to block it, to do things like Skyfeed and block it. I think that the power of Bluesky is the decentralization of it, that really smart creators have done a really good job of figuring out how to mitigate some of these nasty things. I know that there are some starter packs these are people that you don't want to follow if you're in this community because they're not going to be helpful for your own personal happiness and joy. And so I know that there are starter packs out there that people have added to that tend to have the toxicity of the Bluebird app.
So they're actually starter packs, but you don't follow any of them.
Well, it's so that you don't by clicking it, you basically block them. It's like the opposite of a starter pack.
I love it. Oh, and let me ask, do you have those listed on your starter packs?
They're not
Okay.
mine, but
All
I will
right.
find them. I will find them and add them to the show notes.
So my last question for guests always is, because we're constantly looking to build out our PLN, is let us know how we can follow you on social media. Or recently I've been saying, what is your preferred social media platform? But instead, I'm going to ask you, what advice would you give to listeners tuning in when it comes to social media?
All right. So this is my personal mantra when it comes to social media. If it doesn't bring you joy, move on. I mean, that might mean that you have to unfollow accounts, take a break, stepping back if something feels overwhelming. But really, and I learned this from Jennifer Lagarde, is be aware of the triggers that are occurring when you are looking at something online, because it really can be overwhelming. And also remember, this is school librarian hat talking. If it's free, your data is what is being sold. So decide if that's a trade-off that you're comfortable with. So for me, Bluesky is where I find joy. It's my go-to platform because of the community that I continue to build. And I really post there before I post anywhere else. So I really look forward to connecting, hopefully with all of you listeners on #TLSky.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I look forward to our paths crossing on the regular, because I know exactly where to find you.
Now you do.
And I'm very grateful. I thank you for sharing with us the ways that you have found that really have helped foster the supportive community on Bluesky. Listen, I truly appreciate you sharing all your expertise with us tonight. Heather Turner, you have been an absolute delight. Thank you so much for giving us what we all need to do so that we can succeed and have the kind of, PLN that you have been able to build on Bluesky. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of the school year.
Thank you so much, Amy. And I really appreciate you inviting me to chat with you and all the listeners about this topic, because it's one that I definitely am really passionate about. And I hope this is the start of a new relationship.
Well, and I'm going to say right now, friends, Heather Turner and I cross paths like daily. And it's on Bluesky. So, yes, join us, and let's hope that Bluesky continues to grow and be that space where we can all find our friends. So thanks so much, Heather, and I will see you on Bluesky.
All right. Adios.
Friends, if you are curious to know how often your state and school librarians have been featured in the podcast, then check out the link in today's show notes for the search by title, guest, and location. My goal is to showcase school librarians from all 50 states and around the world. Take a look at the FAQs linked in today's show notes to answer all of your questions about recording an episode and reach out. Make 2025 the year you are a guest on the podcast. If you found this episode helpful, please share it out with your team, your PLN, and on social media. Be sure to follow on your favorite podcatcher so you'll never miss an episode. And if you really like listening today, consider leaving a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Reviews help others find us. And for all School Librarians United listeners, try Learnix free for the rest of the year. Visit learnix.com and schedule a demo for your free trial today. That's learnix.com. And remember, School Librarians United listeners get Learnix free for the rest of the year. I hope you take a look at the opportunity to support the Santa Cruz Public School Libraries and maybe even hosting a similar community event to raise funds for your school library. The topic of our next episode will be career twists and turns and my conversation with Dale Harder. I hope you will tune in.